Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to Global Television. This is Business Point, live in the nation's capital, Abuja. Now let's take a look at some of the news on the business desk. Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Gas, Ekperikpe Ekpo, has stated that President Tinubu is committed to supporting private sector investment aimed at utilizing the gas potential crucial for national development. In a meeting with officials from the Brass Petrochemical and Gas Project slated for Bayelsa State, Ekperikpe Ekpo, alongside its managing director, Chief Ben Okoye, emphasized the project's significance for the nation's economy and its populace. The minister also urged the management of gas producer SPDC JV to collaborate closely with the promoters of the Brass Petrochemical and Gas Project to ensure a seamless gas supply in line with President Bola Tinubu's vision to propel gas-centric investments, commercialization, and industrialization initiatives. Now, as regards railway, the Nigerian Railway Corporation, NRC, says express service will soon commence on the Kano-Lagos narrow gauge. This disclosure regarding the restoration of train service operations on the Kano-Lagos narrow gauge was made in a post by the NRC on its official X handle with a short footage of a locomotive undergoing a test run on the tracks. Now, in a related post in X, the corporation noted that major repairs have been completed on the damaged portions of the Kano-Lagos narrow gauge, further affirming the restoration of express train services on the road. Now let's look at tobacco. The federal government has stated the need to ensure strict regulation of tobacco industry in accordance with the country's legislation and global best practices. Now, the Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Ali Pate, disclosed this recently in Lagos at the formal launch of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission Tobacco Control Advocacy Campaign tagged Don't Burn Their Future. Now, Pate was represented at the event by the chairman of the Tobacco Control Unit, Federal Ministry of Health. Dr. Malu Toma noted that for every $1 a country gains from tobacco, $3 more was expended on healthcare costs as a result of its ill effects. Now moving on, in Lagos, where the state government has announced the launch of the Electronic Geographic Information System EGIS platform, where residents can apply, search and verify land titles across the state online before purchase is made. Now, this was disclosed by Governor Sanwo-Olu on his X handle, where he stated that the EGIS platform digitized access on all matters pertaining to land in the state. Now, according to the governor, the launch of the EGIS platform presents a radical shift in the application for land titles from the old manual and paper method to a digital platform where anyone can now access the data relating to all lands across the state. Now, he noted that the new initiatives remove the need of middlemen and agents in the land title application process. Now, let's move to relations between India and Nigeria. The Indian High Commissioner to Nigeria, Gagadaharan Balasubramanian, has disclosed that 150 Indian companies have so far invested $27 billion in Nigeria. He disclosed this in Abuja at a dinner to mark the 75th Republic Day of India. The envoy noted that India and Nigeria enjoyed strong and historical relations, with the ties dating back to before Nigeria's independence. He added that owing to special relationship between the two countries, India had invited Nigeria as a guest country during her presidency of G20. Now let's look at how poultry farmers are faring in the country. Now, the Poultry Association of Nigeria, PAN, has expressed concern over the closure of more than 50% of its farms in 2023, attributing the shutdowns to sectoral challenges. Mojid Iola, chairman of the PAN Lagos State chapter, revealed this during an interview with the news agency of Nigeria in Lagos. Iola highlighted that poultry farmers face difficulties in meeting the increasing demand for poultry products due to the closure of a significant portion of their farms. Now, according to Iola, sustained government interventions at all levels, particularly in subsidizing feed inputs, are essential for prosperity of the sector. Now, these are the news that made the rounds on the business desk. We're sure to bring a repeat of it just after we talk about small and medium-scale enterprises in Nigeria. We'll take a short break, and when we return, we'll dive deep into the topic. Please stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, if you've just joined us, this is Business Point Live on Global Television in the nation's capital. And today we're talking about small and medium enterprises, especially in Nigeria. We'll be talking about their roles for the economy and the challenges they encounter, specifically on the challenges. Small and medium enterprises, SMEs, play a major role in most economies, particularly in developing countries. SMEs account for the majority of businesses worldwide and are important contributors to job creation and global economic development. They represent about 90% of businesses and more than 50% of employment worldwide. Formal SMEs contribute up to 40% of national income, GDP, in emerging countries like Nigeria. Now, these numbers are significantly higher when informal SMEs are included. Now, according to estimates, 600 million jobs will be needed by 2030 to absorb the growing global workforce, which makes SME development a high priority for many governments around the world. In emerging markets, most formal jobs are generated by SMEs, which creates 7 out of 10 jobs. However, access to finance is a key constraint to SME growth. It is the second most cited obstacles facing SMEs to grow their business in emerging markets and developing countries like Nigeria. Now, SMEs are less likely to be able to obtain bank loans than large firms. Instead, they rely on internal funds or cash from friends and family to launch and initially run their enterprises. The International Finance Corporation, IFC, estimates that 65 million firms, or 40% of formal micro, small and medium enterprises in countries like Nigeria, have an unmet financing need of $5.2 trillion every year, which is equivalent to 1.4 times the current level of the global MSME lending, that is medium small scale enterprise. Now, East Asia and Pacific accounts for the largest share, 46% of the total global finance gap, and is followed by Latin America and the Caribbean, which has 23%, and Europe and Central Asia 15%. The gap volume varies considerably region to region. Now, Latin America and the Caribbean and the Middle East and North Africa regions in particular have the highest proportion of the finance gap compared to potential demand, measured at 87% and 88% respectively. Now, about half of formal SMEs don't have access to formal credit. We're talking about the financing. The financing gap is even larger when micro and informal enterprises are taken into account. Now, what is the average revenue of SMEs in Nigeria? Average revenue, that is turnover for small and medium enterprise in Nigeria, it is about 64.5% of micro enterprises in Nigeria have a monthly turnover of less than 50%, while 29.4% have an average income of 50,000 to 300,000 naira, and the remaining have a monthly turnover of 600,000 to 900,000 naira. Now, top small business statistics in Nigeria. SMEs contribute about 48% to the national GDP. SMEs account for 96% of businesses and 84% of employment. One of the most effective ways for SMEs to connect with their target audience is through social media. Now, SMEs have the constraints because as regards publicity and awareness. Now, one of the ways they can reach target audience is social media. Funds for advertisement, I beg your pardon, adverts, maybe on billboards, on TV, may not be met because it's a small business, they're starting business. And so one of the ways they can maximize reaching out to audience is social media, as that is inexpensive for SMEs. Now, in January 2023, there were 31.60 million social media users in Nigeria, equating to 14.3% of the total population. At least 39,654,385 micro, small, and medium enterprises operated in Nigeria as of December 21st. Research has shown that over 50% of SMEs fail in their first year of operation. More specifically, the research shows further that more than 95% of SMEs fail during their first 5 years. Now, over 40% of small business fail due to market demand, lack of market demand for their products or services. Obtaining finance, finding customers, and infrastructure deficit are most pressing problems for SMEs in Nigeria. Now, let's talk about electricity. Electricity is responsible for the highest cost to operations, followed by rent and cost of capital. Now, local government levies are most difficult taxes to comply with. Now, we're talking about taxes for SMEs. Some of these taxes are really very difficult for small business owners. Interesting general small business owners statistic globally, 90% of all companies are small businesses, and they account for 50% of jobs, like I said earlier. Now, 600 million jobs will be needed by 2030, like I have rightly said, to absorb the growing global workforce, making SME development a high priority for many governments around the world. Now, one of the most effective ways for SMEs to connect with the target audience, like I rightly mentioned, is through social media. Now, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about how we can navigate, or small and medium scale enterprise can navigate in the market in Nigeria. Please stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. Now we'll be looking at the challenges that SMEs face in Nigeria. Just before the break, we mentioned some of them as electricity and difficult taxes. Now, COVID-19 played a huge role in the output of small and medium enterprises in Nigeria. Businesses were hindered as a result of lockdowns and movement restrictions intended to stop the spread of COVID-19. This created enormous anxiety for the Nigerian business community and investors. A recent survey shows that about 94.3% of the businesses in Nigeria have been hit by the pandemic. Many didn't survive. The number is so high considering the number of small businesses in Nigeria. And our most common reason for starting up SMEs, according to a 2019 study by Guidance Financial, 55% of its respondents established their firms in order to be their own bosses. Now, people's desire to pursue their passion is the second most important factor, the people's desire. This response was given by 39% of the study participants. Other factors include discovering the opportunity, needing a retirement plan, and being dissatisfied with, one's current employment. Now let's look at poor and inadequate structure, major challenge for SMEs in Nigeria. This has been a major obstacle to the growth of small and medium enterprises. Lack of access to funds is another challenge, like I mentioned. Aside from power, the lack of good access to roads and social amenities has also hindered the growth of SMEs. For example, we have places where, an instance is the Aba market. Most of the roads that lead to where most manufacturing products in Nigeria are made is damaged and bad, and this could be a struggle for those who come to buy and sell, retailers, wholesalers, as well as producers as well. So social amenities. And now let's, in wrapping this up, the small business economic activities in Nigeria play a significant role nationwide and is essential for wealth generation, job creation, economic diversification, innovation, and poverty alleviation. Now, with a good financial business partner, most small business can achieve their potential with increased access to infrastructure by government and loan facilities by financial institutions. Now, one of the ways that this can help small business owners, we see a lot of government loans, grants, financial institutions, and even private sectors, as well as partnerships, would help to elevate the sufferings of small business owners. Now that's it on Business Point. We're talking extensively about small and medium scale enterprises in Nigeria. Catch us same time tomorrow for another interesting episode of Business Point. Many thanks for watching, and don't forget to follow us across all social media platforms using @Global TV NG and other handles now showing on your screen. I am Queen Agaba. Thank you for watching and see you again.